The first time she said it, I thought I had misheard her. My father said you needed a wife, she whispered. And before logic, before pride, before fear could stop me, the truth escaped my lips. He was right. There are moments in life that divide everything into before and after. That sentence was mine. Because in those 4 words, I admitted something I had spent years denying, that loneliness had become the loudest thing in my life. Before we begin, if you believe kindness can heal broken hearts and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories. I was 34 when life finally cornered me into honesty. From the outside, I looked successful. I had a decent job, a clean apartment, money in the bank, and enough discipline to keep everything running like clockwork. People called me dependable. Responsible. Mature. What they didn't see was the silence. Silence in the mornings when I drank coffee alone. Silence in the evenings when I unlocked my apartment and no one called my name. Silence on weekends when entire days passed without meaningful conversation. People think loneliness feels dramatic, like crying in the rain or staring sadly out a window. Most of the time, it doesn't. Most of the time, loneliness is quiet. It sits beside you while you eat. It follows you into bed. It becomes so normal you stop noticing how much it hurts. My father noticed. He had always been the kind of man who spoke little but saw everything. Even in old age, nothing escaped him. He could read my exhaustion in the way I walked through his front door. One evening, after dinner, he asked me a question I wasn't prepared for. "Are you happy?" I laughed because that's what people do when truth feels dangerous. "I'm fine." He stared at me with the kind of patience only fathers have. "I didn't ask if you were fine." That question stayed with me. Because I didn't have an answer. I had spent years building walls after my engagement ended. 5 years earlier, the woman I planned to marry walked away 2 months before our wedding. No dramatic betrayal. No screaming. Just a quiet confession that shattered me. She said she loved me, but not enough. Not enough. Those words did something permanent. They taught me that giving someone your heart was dangerous. So I adapted. I worked more. I trusted less. I stopped expecting love. My father hated that. 3 months before everything changed, he got sick. The doctors spoke carefully, but I understood what they weren't saying. His body was slowing down. Age was winning. He became quieter after that. Then one afternoon, while I sat beside his hospital bed, he said something strange. "When I'm gone, who will remind you to live?" I swallowed hard. "Don't talk like that." He smiled faintly. "You're alive, son. But you stopped living years ago." I looked away because he was right. Then he said something even stranger. "There's someone I want you to meet." I almost laughed. Even in a hospital bed, he was trying to arrange my marriage. No. Yes. No, Dad. You don't even know who she is. I don't care. But he only smiled. That stubborn smile. I should have known then that he had already decided. 2 weeks later, after another long day at work, someone knocked on my apartment door. I opened it expecting a delivery. Instead, I saw her. She stood there clutching the strap of a worn bag, her posture tense, eyes lowered. She looked nervous enough to run. She was beautiful, but not in a dramatic, movie star way. Her beauty felt real. Soft. Human. Tired eyes carrying old sadness. Gentle features hardened slightly by life. She looked up. "My father said you needed a wife," she whispered. And I said. He was right. Even now, I don't fully understand why. Maybe I was exhausted from pretending. Maybe I saw loneliness in her eyes too. Maybe some part of me recognized something broken that mirrored my own. She blinked, stunned. I stepped aside. "Come in." Her name was Hannah. She sat carefully on my couch like she was afraid of taking up space. I made tea because I didn't know what else to do. Then slowly, awkwardly, truth came out. My father had known hers for decades. Old friends. Apparently, while both men watched their children drift into lonely adulthood, they had formed a ridiculous plan. To introduce us. To save us from ourselves. I should have been angry. I wasn't. Because as Hannah spoke, I realized something. She understood loneliness better than anyone I'd met. Her mother died when she was young. Her father raised her alone. She spent years caring for him as his health declined. While friends built careers, marriages, families, she became caretaker, nurse, daughter, provider. She gave everything. And somewhere in the process, she disappeared. "No one asks what you want when you become the strong one," she said quietly. That sentence hit me harder than I expected. Because I understood. Strong people are often the loneliest. Everyone leans on them. Few ask who supports them. That night, she stayed for 3 hours. We talked. Not small talk. Real talk. About grief. About regret. About expectations. About becoming strangers to ourselves. When she left, something felt different. The apartment didn't feel as empty. Then she came again. And again. Sometimes with food. Sometimes just to sit. Sometimes we said almost nothing. And somehow, silence stopped feeling painful. It started feeling peaceful. For the first time in years, I looked forward to tomorrow. Then life did what life always does. It tested us. One rainy evening, I visited my father. He looked weaker. Much weaker. He motioned me closer. "Do you love her?" I froze. "I don't know." He smiled. "That means yes." "No." "Yes." I sighed. "What if I ruin it?" He looked disappointed. "Son, love isn't ruined by trying." He took a slow breath. "It's ruined by fear." I had no response. Because fear had controlled my life for years. Fear of loss. Fear of rejection. Fear of hearing "not enough" again. My father squeezed my hand with surprising strength. "She sees you." That broke something inside me. Because he was right. Hannah saw through every defense. She noticed when I was tired. When I lied about being okay. When old wounds resurfaced. She saw the parts one buried. And stayed. That terrified me. A week later, everything changed. I came home and found Hannah outside my apartment. Crying. Not loud sobbing. The dangerous kind. Silent tears. I rushed to her. What happened? She couldn't speak at first. Then finally. My father. My stomach dropped. He had collapsed. Hospital. Critical. I drove like a madman. At the hospital, she sat beside his bed exactly the way I had sat beside mine. Helpless. Small. Broken. Hours passed. Machines beeped. Doctors came and went. Then the doctor spoke. There was nothing more they could do. Her father passed before sunrise. I stayed. I handled paperwork. Calls. Forms. Food she forgot to eat. Water she forgot to drink. I stayed through funeral arrangements. Visitors. Condolences. Silence. 3 days later, after everyone left, she finally broke. Not polite tears. Real grief. She collapsed into me, shaking. "I'm alone." The words tore through me. Because I knew exactly what those words felt like. And in that moment, something became clear. Love wasn't lightning. It wasn't dramatic music. It was this. Showing up. Staying. Holding someone while they shattered. I held her tighter. "No." She cried harder. "No," I repeated. "You're not alone." For the first time in years, fear lost. Love spoke louder. Weeks passed. Grief moved strangely. Some days she smiled. Some days she disappeared into silence. I stayed through all of it. Then one evening, she asked the question I feared most. "Why are you doing this?" I knew what she really meant. Why stay? Why care? Why risk heartbreak? I looked at her. Really looked. At the woman who entered my life through a strange sentence and somehow changed everything. And I answered honestly. Because when you walked into my life, the silence stopped hurting. She froze. Tears filled her eyes. I kept going. I spent years surviving instead of living. My voice shook. I was afraid to love because I thought pain would destroy me. I stepped closer. But losing people hurts whether you love them or not. Her tears fell. So I'd rather love. Silence. Then she whispered. "I'm scared." I smiled sadly. Me too. Love isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing someone despite fear. And that's what we did. Not perfectly. Not dramatically. Just honestly. Months later, I brought her to visit my father. He was weaker than ever, but when he saw us together, his eyes lit up. He looked at Hannah. Then at me. Then smiled. That stubborn smile. "I told you." I laughed through tears. "Yes, Dad." He looked satisfied. As if one final responsibility had been completed. That night, after we returned home, Hannah stood by the window. Moonlight softened everything. She turned to me. "My father said you needed a wife," she whispered again. This time, there was a small smile. I walked toward her. And said the words that changed both our lives. He was right. Then I added. But he forgot one thing. She blinked. What? I touched her hand. I needed you. If this story is touching your heart, please like this video, comment below, and share it with someone who believes love can still heal broken souls. Special request, comment below with the words, "Love heals," if you believe the right person can bring light back into someone's darkest days. 6 months later, my father passed peacefully. The grief was unbearable. But something had changed. I wasn't alone. At the funeral, while people offered condolences, Hannah stood beside me holding my hand. No speeches. No promises. Just presence. And somehow, that was enough. That night, sitting in my father's empty house, I finally understood what he had tried to teach me. Life will hurt you. People will leave. Time will take everything eventually. But love makes the loss worth surviving. I looked at Hannah. At the woman two stubborn fathers brought together. At the woman who taught me that healing doesn't happen in isolation. And for the first time in years, I felt whole. Not because pain disappeared, but because love gave pain meaning. Some people enter your life with fireworks. Others arrive quietly. A knock on the door. A whisper. A simple sentence. And suddenly everything changes. Sometimes, the person meant for you doesn't rescue you from pain. They simply sit beside you and help carry it. And maybe that's what love truly is. Not perfection. Not fantasy. Just two wounded hearts choosing each other. Again. And again. And again. And if you've ever felt alone, if you've ever believed it was too late for love, remember this. Loneliness can feel endless. Until one day, someone knocks. And everything changes.